Hey everybody, before we start this podcast, as always, I gotta give a shout out to our sponsor for this week. It is, you guessed it, Haven Cottage Investments. Alright, they have the knowledge, they have the power, they have the tools and techniques that can put you in a better place in life. You want to buy a house? You want to sell a house? Need to rent out some property? Need to find some tenants? Anything at all, Haven Cottage Investments can do. Haven Cottage Investments. I can say words properly. Everything you need to get in touch with them is all in the description below. You need an email address, you need a phone number, it's all good. Again, if you want to start your future off right, you gotta listen, take some advice from a 22-year-old. Get in touch with Haven Cottage Investments. Alright, well that's enough out of me. Let's get to the show. Podcast. All right, so tell me about escape rooms. Like, you guys have been doing escape rooms. She says once a month for how many months now?
Once a month.
Well, I said at least once a month.
We usually end up doing like...
Oh, more than once a month?
Yeah, more than once a month.
Would you dare go say once a week?
No, definitely not. Definitely
there
not.
was a point in time when we were going once a week.
Really?
Probably 4 weeks or so.
Wow.
Yeah.
So have you exhausted everything in Texas, or like?
No, I mean, there's so many. You don't even realize how many there are. They're in corners of, in Louisville, some back corner. There's like a building that has the second floor is an escape room. Like
really?
you would never know that it was. And so I just look for Groupons every time, and there's always always a new Groupon for it. So.
The only ones I've been to is the one in Farmers Branch, and then I want to go in the McKinney one.
Escape This was that one?
I think it might have been.
Okay.
It was the one that we did. It was like a ceremonial kind of cult, and we had to escape it from there. And then the other one we did was like a political espionage type deal, or some kind of something with money, and then we had to escape that room. So.
Well, that's kind of cool themes.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've never done any like zombie or anything.
Oh, really?
We don't. I mean, that's not my style, but.
Oh, okay. You don't like the zombie in the room just like following you around?
That, yeah.
So there is that one in
I know, in Plano.
That I guess it's like they tie some guy up that works there, and you have like an hour to escape.
Otherwise, he gets you.
And then he gets
and then they release the chain a little bit more, and then you can So,
well, I've never done that one.
Well, I mean, so what's the pull of escape rooms? Because I feel like is it just
like logic? I just
challenging
like
yourself?
Challenging, yeah.
All right.
It's just challenging, and I like to see what one does different than another one. So and we'll go to different cities. We went to some in Seattle.
Okay, so this is like a national thing.
Oh yeah, every time we try. When we went to Florida, we did one. When we went to Seattle last year, we did one. In San Francisco, when I went with my friends, or not San Francisco, San Diego, we did one, and so like it's just fun to see all over the country, see how they're doing them.
And have they always been just like different experiences for you guys?
Yeah,
or?
I mean some of them are really good, some of them not as good. But some of the best ones I've seen, like the ones in Oklahoma, suck.
Really?
Up front.
Yeah, wow.
I've done like 3 in Oklahoma.
Wow! Shout out to Oklahoma.
Yeah,
right?
I love Oklahoma. Go Sooners. But they're terrible.
So all right, worst escape room have you ever done?
Should we call it out by name?
Call them out. Yeah, call them out.
Do we call it out by name? Because there was one that I was really excited for. Okay, so we decided that we were going to do like this 80s escape room, and it was Escape the 80s Dance Party.
Oh, she was so nice though. Let's give her that.
Nice.
Let's give her that.
Our DJ, it was DJ Ruth.
DJ Ruth. Okay.
Was great.
All right.
But Escape the 80s Dance Party. Who would want to escape an 80s dance party? I don't know, but
not me.
But so it was just
we won with like 35 minutes left or something like that.
Oh, it was so quickly.
Oh, so it was easy?
It was really easy, and then like some of them were fine, but
there was no logical like theme to it. Like you just kind of did all of these things and that was it. There was no like storyline of you do this and then you do this and then this is the next thing. Like, you know how it kind of normally
there's no logical
goes
progression.
In a logical progression. And this one was just kind of like do all of these things and then the door opens.
Then dance with your partner for 10 seconds and and it's just like okay,
that's a little weird.
That's kind of dumb.
But DJ Ruth was awesome.
Yeah, she was really nice.
Shout out to DJ Ruth. She was great.
We do like her.
All right.
But definitely not the best escape room we've done.
Okay. I mean, I feel like a lot of, because I think I've done maybe 2, maybe 3.
it's been a while, but they've always been kind of good. Like I've always wanted to come back to it. So
I will say, shout out to Escapeology in Orlando, Florida.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Is this your best experience?
It's if not the best escape. If it's not the best escape room we've done, it's top 5. But just how like much detail went into
really
the building, just everything. I mean, just like. You walk in and you feel like it's a murder. You know, it's like a murder mystery, and it's just everything is so nicely organized. Everybody gets like iPads and
Okay,
you're entering stuff on iPads, and like there's decorations on the wall, but not cheaply done decorations. It's like framed stuff, which just looks professional, looks nice.
And we're talking about like just the lobby of this area too, like not even the rooms. Usually when you go, like rooms are pretty well done anyway, but when you walk into the lobby of this place, like they put so much detail into the lobby.
Wow,
like you have little like puzzle games that you can do while you're waiting. Also shout out, because when you book, it's a private booking. So we showed up, the room was for 8 people. We showed up with 4. But they didn't
just 4?
They didn't put 4 other people into the room. Like once you book, you just book.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And it wasn't ridiculously expensive. There was a Groupon for it, and it wasn't ridiculously expensive either. So it was
really good.
Shout out to them. If you guys want a franchise in Dallas, then let us know, because
that'd be awesome.
We're interested.
So was this place like an actual warehouse thing, or was it
not a warehouse? It was like an actual legit building,
just like an office building or something.
But it was like not what you would normally think of as an office building. It's like a how would you explain?
It was in like a strip mall.
Oh, okay.
It was in a strip mall area.
But like it was all just decked out with their stuff.
It was awesome.
Yeah. Really, really good.
We had a really good game hostess too. She was good.
Yeah.
That's good. Wow. Now, so I got to make the trip just to Florida just to go there.
Escapeology.
Yep. International drive.
Yep.
All right. Well, anyways, guys, welcome back to the One More Podcast.
Thank you.
I am Yuval, obviously your host, and I have 2 new people with me today. If you guys want to introduce yourself, we'll start with the lady on my right. Sorry, I was going to say lady on my left, but I guess technically
not a lady. But
oh yeah, I guess. But all right. So who are you?
My name is Shelly.
Oh, hello, Shelly.
Hello.
How long have you known me?
Way too long.
Yes, very true.
From before I can remember, probably.
Yeah. So. Before the memory times.
Yeah.
All right. And so, tell us a little bit about yourself. Just so we get a.
This is a really loaded question.
Give us a 30-second speech.
Born and raised in Texas. My work, I went to UTD. I'm a dancer, and I am scared of roller coasters.
Boom. All right. That's it. All right, Itai, follow her format. Oh, I'm sorry. I introduced yourself. So
my name is Itai.
Yes.
Happen to be Shelly's brother. Born in Israel. Came to the United States young.
Fun fact.
Fun fact. Let's see. I played piano for a very long time, 12 years.
Do you still?
That's not fun.
Do you still play piano?
Yeah,
what do you mean? Piano was fun.
Shelly's biased.
That's true.
She does not like piano that much anymore.
So what? Do you still? Because I mean, obviously, it looks like the kind of the centerpiece of the room.
Yeah,
so.
That's a very new centerpiece of the room.
Oh, really? Okay.
I just got that. Like 3 weeks ago? 3 weeks ago?
Oh wow, this is like new. Okay.
Very, very new. Beautiful.
And you've only played on it once?
No, I played on it right before you got here, actually.
Oh, really? Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's a joy. It's a joy. I like it. It still needs to be retuned since the move, but
okay. So I've always been curious. Have you ever composed music for yourself, or you just strictly play and jam out to other people's stuff?
I did. And I like, probably one of my favorite thing is to listen to a song and then just try to play that song. And I'll like listen to it over and over and over and over again, and then just try to like get the same key and just like compose something to that. And it's not like compose, but then I've also written my own stuff.
Okay.
I entered it in a competition in 10th grade.
Oh, wow.
I got like
look at you.
3rd place in regional.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't doing that in 10th grade. I'm super jealous. That's awesome. Because for the longest time, there's always been, when I think of Itai, there's always kind of a piano somewhere in the background.
That's
so
true.
What about when you think of me?
I think of a really nice, loving person who takes care of me. Well, so I mean, why don't you write music more? I mean, you could just drop everything you're doing and be
life's
national
good.
sensation.
No, I don't think I'd be national sensation. It's a hobby. It's something I enjoy doing, but it's not like, I don't think I can make a living writing music.
Well, hey, I mean, that's you never know until you try, right?
It's
just
true,
jump into it.
There's too many things I want to try before.
Oh, okay. So music isn't your super passion?
It's definitely. I mean, music is a passion.
Okay.
Playing piano is something I really enjoy doing, but it's not something I'd want to do like 10 hours a day.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's not that much of a passion.
Shelly, you don't like music as much?
I like music.
Okay.
I do. I love music.
Sure.
Piano was a struggle growing up. There was a struggle between piano and dance.
Okay.
Piano won growing up, but dance currently wins.
That's awesome.
So
piano
I had the
only
best of
won.
both worlds.
Piano only won because
I was forced.
Because you were forced.
Piano won because it was forced.
So it definitely
okay.
It definitely was like a Shelly, Itai, you need to play piano.
Yeah.
Well, it was like, Shelly, you need to play piano. Itai, thanks for playing. That's great.
Because I used to play in high school. I used to play in the morning, and so I got done with it early.
Yeah.
Before I went into school.
Oh, okay.
I had to be convinced to play.
Every day.
Every single day.
So you were like hoping mom would forget.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, how was that? Because I've never been because I know Itai for a little bit. You kind of tried to teach me piano or something like that. I just remember maybe a couple times.
Your dad was really good too.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, he still sometimes plays a little bit. I don't really remember the last time I saw him actually sit down and try and jam out. But like, how was a structured learning environment of the piano? Do you think it helped or?
I mean, am I glad that I did it? Absolutely.
Sure.
Like, it's awesome to be able to play an instrument, and I think it taught me a lot about music, and it probably helped me with dance ultimately.
Okay.
At the time, I did not appreciate it.
Sure.
Looking back on it, I think it's great. And
would you do the same to your kid?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. That is really a good question. Ooh, Itai coming in hard.
I want my kid to do something.
Okay.
If they want to do dance, then that's fine. If they want to do piano or an instrument, then that's fine. If they want to do sports, then that's fine.
What if I'll
probably let them switch like once, but then after that, like, I'm not gonna let my kid do the whole like, well, I want to play football, but then they quit, and then I want to play piano, and then they quit, and then I want to do that. Like that, I'm not gonna let happen. But if they want to pick one thing, then yeah, sure, that's fine.
What if they just want to play video games all day and just be indoors and hang out with their friends?
Are you going to be offended if I say?
Oh no, not at all, not at all, not at all.
I'm not gonna...
No. On the last podcast, I have a full belief in a theory where if you want your kid to be I say this, and you can how much faith you want to put into this, but if you want your kid to be relatively socialized in the world, put them in basketball. Make them play basketball, makes them learn team skills and how to be social in an environment where they're not the only person, because, you have like a only kid growing up. It's like they're the center of the world. So you play team sport because no one's going to want to play with the ball hog. No one wants to play with the guy who's all that. So he's going to get kicked down a notch. So
basketball over like football or soccer.
Well,
I was like,
I like basketball. In football, because I don't want to put my kid in like. This is a controversial subject, I guess.
What do you mean controversial subject? What are you talking about?
I don't know. I love football. I watch football. I mean, I'm a proud OU fan, Dallas Cowboys fan. But like, I don't know if I'd put my kid in football.
Okay.
Just because of the concussion risks that everything's coming out.
Well, not even like in middle school or high school or whatever.
No, because then you'd want to continue. Then if they're like for some reason really good, like, they'd want to continue into high school. And then if they're really good, like, how could I say, stop now before you get a full scholarship to college? Like,
that's true. Well, I mean.
I'd rather than be good at a different sport or something else. Yeah.
So if your kid was like into soccer, that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, I think it's interesting how people view trying to raise their kids, and like I'm only 22, and I'm just like, yeah, I know exactly how to do parenting and stuff like that. And I actually had a really interesting conversation with my boss today at work, and it's trying to instill certain fundamental ideas in your kid. Where growing up, I was very conscious about money. I was very like. I know that there's a limited supply, and I'm not going to force my parents to make me buy everything in the world. Mm-hmm. And I'm deathly afraid that my kid's going to turn out not that way. So, I mean, I know we hung out a lot as young kids. Were you guys like that at all, or?
No, they instilled in us pretty quick.
Oh, really?
Like, we didn't have a ton of money growing up. Like, it wasn't anything like, I don't know. I mean, we got told no all the time. When we went to the grocery store.
Sure.
Can we have this gum? Can we have this thing?
Whatever.
Yeah. Like, no.
Oh, okay. All right. So are you not worried about that at all? Because I don't know.
The part I think that worries me a little bit is not, what I'm going to do. I know that the rules that I'm going to instill in my kid.
Mm-hmm.
It's just how, and then, we're probably going to deviate into a very different topic here, but how like the what the media is going to be when we have kids. You know what I mean? In 10, 12 years.
Yeah.
however long it's going to take us to have kids, you know, what's the media going to be like? And not only that, but also, you know, what are their friends going to be like? What are their friends' parents going to be like? So those are the things that worry me a little bit more than, am I going to instill the right things in my kids? I think so.
Sure.
But it's just all of the surroundings and how's that going to affect?
Yeah. So like if everybody else has the latest video game or whatever, like, you know, does that mean your kid's gonna have it too?
Yeah.
And you know, those are good
Bobby
questions.
down the street has it. I want the latest Xbox 4 million coming out. So,
Right.
well, no, and that's real quick. I know I kind of touched on it on a podcast maybe a few episodes ago, but I'm really interested just because this is really relevant today. The idea between 24/7 news coverage versus having not necessarily a traditional, you know, CNN, Fox News or whatever, but having kind of independent sources churning and processing the information and then coming out with a news segment or something like that maybe 3 or 4 days after. Because something that I wasn't aware of was in the Las Vegas shooting, apparently the 24/7 news coverages, that was like on the news for like 3, 4, 5 days. And it was just constantly on. That's all they were talking about. It was just like from the moment it happened till, you know, probably till the end of the week, they were just talking about that. So I don't like that. I mean, I get it. You want to be constantly updated and stuff like that, but I think you almost get desensitized to it. And so it's not as impactful when new information comes out. I don't know. Do you guys have the same idea about that?
I mean, I guess I don't understand. What's the alternative?
So, okay. So, all right. I should have probably been more straightforward with this. So I watched this guy on YouTube, Philip DeFranco.
I love Philip DeFranco.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So doing these kind of daily news shows where he talks about it, you get your 10 to 13 minutes of information, and then that's it for the day. And so, having that instead of just constantly, okay, what are we going to talk about? What are we going to talk about? What are we going to talk about? And
I
then,
see what you're saying.
And then, oh, we don't have any hard hitting news, so we're going to talk about the old lady down the street, blah, 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 or whatever. So, but then that also translates to, well, we're going to have this story. Let's milk the story. Okay, I say it as sounds extreme, but let's use this story for as long as we can because that's a hot topic.
You're right. Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, the problem with that is you're limiting, you know, news to 10 to 13 minutes a day, which is sometimes you would want to know more than just, you know, the snippets of, you know, so if you want the full story, if you want to know exactly, you know, what happened in the OJ case or whatever, like there was an 8-hour documentary about it.
Right.
So like that's very, very interesting, very relevant, I think, you know, to people who want to know. So I do feel like news is useful, you know, round the clock news. I mean,
right.
is useful, but when they, it's hard to say because like then they'll just start talking about random stuff when they don't have anything good, anything really good to talk about.
No, I agree.
It's not only that, in my opinion. I feel like when it happens so quickly to, you know, whatever action was taken or whatever they're reporting on, it's just kind of a mix of whatever they hear and they just kind of blurt it out without being able to do appropriate research and you know, really looking up the details of these things. That's just whatever they hear, they just churn out and spit out because it's whoever gets the information out the fastest and the quickest. And I think that can end up being a little bit detrimental because when you do these and, you know, 5, 6, 7 days later, I feel like every day something new came out about this Las Vegas shooter or things like that, which is great and that's awesome. But it could, I'm not saying that it could change the story from the first story that was released. Okay. You know?
Can we take a second back there real quick? So you said when new information comes out about the shooter post everything that's happened, you say that's good? I'm not trying to like pick you out.
No. I mean, I think it's good that new information comes out.
Okay.
I think that the issue is, you know, the information that came out, let's say 2 days ago, right? That maybe now is not 100% true because now we found new information. People are still going to be looking at that post from 2 days ago because what if they haven't heard this new information?
Sure.
So, you know what I mean? It's like the more you churn out information, the more dispersed it's going to be. You don't know if people have the most updated information. So if you spit something out just because you want to be the first people that do it and all that stuff, and then you realize that maybe it's not true or maybe there's something else or maybe there's, you know, more evidence or documents or things like that, then some people might not hear that and they might be relaying poor information.
No, I agree with that. I meant to stop you because I guess I misunderstood what you were saying because like to direct it, I don't know the guy's name. I don't know his face. And I know 24/7 news coverages show the face, show the name, show the family, show everything. And I think that just glorifies them. And it just, you put them on a pedestal.
Yeah, you put those people on a pedestal. I agree. And I think the people who should be shown are the victims. And
exactly.
That's the people who really deserve to be shown.
The first responders, all the kind of stuff.
I don't think we need to be showing the person who it is. I know what he looks like just from like news articles. I don't know his name, and I don't care to know his name.
Right.
And I don't want to know any future murderers.
Exactly. So when you said that, Shelly, it's like good. The information that comes out about the guy or whatever comes out, and I was like, oh wait, so like, are you pro just getting all the information out there?
No, I also agree. Like, I don't think it's pertinent information, but that's the information that's coming out. At this point. So like, I know I saw an article that was like, his dad was part of like the FBI emails, and I'm like, who cares?
I didn't know about that.
And like, back in like the 60s.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, again, that's something that I read. If I don't know if it's true.
Hey,
don't use this as news. Don't use this as your news segment.
We're all about fake news. We rarely do we fact check or do we look anything up. It's mostly just to who's that guy's name? And then we'll look him up. But you can lie through your teeth and it's okay.
Perfect. So, it's stuff like that where I'm kind of like, all right, this is useless and, things like that. I think it's important that we know it happened. If there was some kind of motive, whether there was or there wasn't, I think that's important. And then that's it. Like, drop it after that. And
we can't do that because 27 news coverages don't have information. And so they're going to milk out the everything they can about it. So,
yeah.
And that's my beef. It's just, and again, I haven't had cable since, I don't know, I was like 13 or 11 or something. So I'm not tapped in at all. So,
well, here's the thing. If you have this 24/7 news coverage that's covering the victims.
That's true.
So it really depends on like people, what's the word that I'm looking for? Thrive.
But even, you're right.
Off of this information, off of this, which we shouldn't even be focusing on him. If we did have 24/7 news, but off of better things, like, either the victims, if you want to go
but the victims, how long can we talk about the victims for?
How long
like
are we talking about this guy?
No, I know, but that's what I'm saying. Like, is it worth talking about the victims for 7 straight days? Like, and they definitely deserve all the recognition and everything they deserve. But when is enough? Like, can we talk about those victims for a year? Like, is that too long? Can we talk about those victims for a week? Is that too long?
I think a week is too long as well. I mean, the I guess the flooded saying of thoughts and prayers and stuff like that. But I feel like maybe just a good couple of days, you do a GoFundMe or something, or you bring attention to if the family member's in crisis. That's great. But I think focusing on it is.
We have to also be sensitive to the families that are, because the families that are affected, because like that's their family. And so like,
well, but I mean, if you just lost someone, do you want the news coming to your door saying, hey, how are you feeling? Hey, what is this? And there's a camera in your face and all that kind of stuff. No, or would you want to give them privacy?
To say that like the world not forgot, but like, the world basically.
No, I mean, go ahead. I mean, it really is. Yeah.
Like, what happens after just a couple days? Like,
well, I mean, we can have a memorial and we can have the victims and everything like that. And maybe their family names and stuff like that on that. But in terms of putting it on, like what I mentioned before, I think it just desensitizes us because then it's like, does. Oh, okay, the Joe family, their kid was killed or blah, blah, blah. And then it's just names on a list. And then by the time you're done listening to it after the whole week, you're just like, okay, well, who was the Joe guy? Who was he?
It's true. But the Holocaust is just names on a list too. And I would never be desensitized to that. And
okay.
So that's like, I could go, we go hear the names.
Sure.
Like every year.
Oh, really? You make an active?
Yeah, we go listen to names of people lost there, and then also in the Yom HaZikaron, the Remembrance Day from like the last war.
Okay.
Israel.
Yeah,
war.
I didn't know that. I think I've been to the Dallas Holocaust Museum once, and then I went to the one in Washington. And that was really powerful. I don't know. Have you guys been to the Washington one?
The DC one?
Yeah, the DC one. Yeah,
I've been there.
It was really intense. Like they just take you up 3 flights of stairs or how many, maybe like 4 levels, and you're just walking down. And yeah, no, and I mean, I think that's different though, because I don't know. For me, how many shootings have we had in the last like 2 years? Like that have been like big, publicized, hot button issues that we're gonna show it up to politics and what are we gonna do about it? But I don't know, and I don't know if it's just because I'm more tapped into the news nowadays and I'm like making sure that I'm up to date with what's going on. But when I was in high school, maybe I heard of 1 or 2, but now just within this you know, when I'm in college, I'm hearing about it more and more often. So
yeah, it's happening more and more often. I mean,
yeah.
Every single one is outdoing the next one. I mean, the Pulse shooting was like the biggest shooting, you know, on U.S. soil, and then, you know, this one outdid that one, and, you know, now everybody's trying to outdo the other one with, you know, how many people they can kill.
And so when you have these, and to just bring it back, and then we can move on if you guys want. I think having that constant coverage, it's like, okay, we're gonna shove information in your brain till all you can think about is this shooting. Well, okay, what about the last shooting, and what about the families from before then, and everything like that? And so I think if you have just these, you know, maybe 1 or 2 days of just here's all the information, here's all the families, closed case, done and done, then you can move on moving forward. Not to say totally forget about them, but you can still have the capacity to, if you want, remember all the names of the previous lives and shootings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
and overall, we do get inundated with news of all type, and so yes, I think the idea of like an independent news source, like a Philip DeFranco, or like somebody who you really want to find somebody who's as unbiased as possible. And I love Philip DeFranco. I don't care whether they lean left, lean right, like that. I don't care about, as long as they try to be as like unbiased as possible. I think Ben Shapiro does a pretty good job of it as well. And,
so I'm not 100% with Ben Shapiro. Give me the 411 on him.
Ben Shapiro is a I don't know how to describe him. Is he
a good looking guy?
I love you, Ben. I mean, he's not an ugly looking guy. He's a decent looking guy. He's like 5'9", Jewish guy. From,
so he's Jewish?
Shapiro, yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know, man. People have some crazy last names.
Very, very smart. Graduated UCLA at 16, and then went to Harvard Law. And
is he a news guy or a political guy?
So I guess it's not so much. He's kind of in between. He's like a political commentator, but he like covers all news stories pretty much. So, you know, if you want to know what he thinks about, you know, things that happen in Vegas or things that happen or whatever, like he has an article about that. He's the chief editor of the Daily Wire.
Oh, okay.
So,
Gotcha.
But he's a political commentator. He has,
all right.
And so he definitely leans conservative, but he's, you know, in terms of, he's not afraid to call anybody out. He was, I agree with him on a lot of things, but I think that doesn't really matter. I think he's
it does. The goal is to learn more about you and what makes you tick and what makes me tick and what makes Shelly tick. So if it matters to you, that's important, right?
Wow, makes me feel so special.
You should feel special. So do you go? Is it mostly him where you get the download of information?
Yeah, him and Philip DeFranco as well. I mean, I like listening to both of them.
That's good.
Those are probably my two biggest
go-to.
Like,
right.
You know, just to hear what they have to say about it, because I like how they analyze the news. Like, I think that they do a good job. They're not, you know, too in love with, you know, one political party, and they just give it to you pretty straight. So,
Shelly, do you download information from people, or are you an independent free thinker using Google across the web?
I'm probably more of the latter when I you know, do research and have these big things comes up. You know, obviously you first hear about these big things that happen, and, you know, especially now with, not to get into it, but, you know, the Harvey Weinstein stuff and
ooh, I want to get into it, dude. That guy's a POS if there ever was one.
You always hear about that stuff. You know, the first thing you're going to see is, you know, whether it's on your CNN app or your Facebook or whatever, and then, you know, that's when I kind of start Googling and looking at different things. So do we want to get into
yeah, I'm down. Are you all right, Itai?
I really don't care about Harvey Weinstein.
I mean, like it's
we all agree that he's a POS. I think
that's fine. We could case closed. I think it's really crap. And I mean, it's kind of hard for me to imagine as a guy to open up and, you know, especially the victims and everything like that. It's very hard for me to understand the fear behind it. I mean, you can tell me this is why, and I can nod my head and say, okay, yes. But for me to have that realistic idea, I don't know, Shelly, do you have any kind of, like, do you relate more to it? Because you know, women being afraid and, you know, there was a lot of pressure from, you know, authorities and your producers and blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I was just curious if you had any relation to that in terms of, because you're a woman.
Right. I mean, I can't say I've had any personal experience with it.
Sure. No, I'm not trying to insinuate that.
But yeah, no. You know, I understand, and I think everybody understands. You know, and everybody can relate. You know, it's a terrible thing, and you don't know how it feels until it happens, and, you know, God forbid it happens to somebody. But, you know, I'll never be able to sympathize with somebody on that level. You know, it's an unfortunate circumstance, and you know, he's definitely going to get the repercussions of his actions at
Sure.
this point.
I mean, I think his wife has left him right now. Do you guys?
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, I feel like we're everybody's on the same page on this one. Like,
sure, that's fine.
There's like literally, I cannot even. I don't think anybody would say anything different. Whether you're total right wing, total left wing, I don't care one bit. Everybody thinks.
I mean, I don't know. Some people might
maybe I would like to listen to what that person has to say. But
so okay. So like people who have a super extreme opinion about something, is that like I'm I'm not going to listen to you because I know your opinion is extreme, or do you hear out people?
No, I think you should hear out people regardless. Because what's extreme? We define the word extreme. So
sure.
like, you know, if extreme means something you don't want to hear, then like, yeah, there's a lot of things that are extreme. I mean, it depends to you what is considered extreme.
Well, I'm asking. So what do you consider extreme in terms and not?
I'm raising my hand.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I'm raising my hand. I gotta cut.
Okay, we're cutting you off, Itai. Go ahead, Shelly.
This one.
Go ahead. Extreme people.
You know, I don't think the issue is being extreme. I think, you know, everybody here is probably very open-minded. My issue comes when people are rude.
About it? Okay.
Yeah. So if you're going to sit here and, you know, if you want to have this very serious conversation about something that's quote-unquote extreme and you are extremely leaning in one way, don't be rude about it. That's my issue. You know, be polite about it. You can tell me that you think that you are 100% right and you think that I am 100% wrong, and that's okay. But don't be threatening. Don't be rude. Don't be obnoxious. Don't be, you know, that's where I think the problem comes in with what people consider like extremists.
Right. You have a lot of passion behind those words. Have you had an experience?
Oh, yeah.
Would you like to recount?
I think everybody's had.
I mean, if I'm going to be honest, I know of accounts from other people, but I've never really come in contact with, you know, people yelling in my face. I mean, granted, I've mentioned this before on a previous podcast. At UNT, there's a preacher guy who's on Wednesdays. He comes and lets people kind of have a conversation with him. But, you know, he's standing on a podium and he's probably got the louder mic. So, you know, how effective is that conversation?
Westboro Baptist Church?
No, I don't think so.
Because they come to Oklahoma.
Do they really?
They're obnoxious. I mean, nobody likes them. I mean, everybody just tells them to buzz off.
Sure.
I mean, but they'll get a crowd and, you know, from what I've heard, and I don't know if this is true, but their goal is to basically get somebody to like charge them or attack them or something so they can sue.
Yeah, my friend Ryan mentioned about at least I don't know if it was a group of people, but at least one guy, literally, that's his goal, is just to sue you for getting a physical encounter with him, altercation. Yeah. So, but anyways, back to you, Shelly. So, personal experience of someone yelling at you, if you want to divulge into it a little bit.
I mean, I don't know what I can think of off the top of my head. I'm sure I've had, you know, situations of, especially when it comes to like religion and, you know, all that kind of stuff.
Is this online or in person?
In person.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I mean, online, first of all, if we want to get into that, people that fight online, you're not my favorite people.
What?
Not my favorite people.
What? Itai fights online all the time.
He doesn't fight.
I do not fight.
I see him fight.
There is no fighting. Like, I do not fight.
It's the people that call other people names. It's the people that are like, "You're an idiot. You're rude. I don't want to cuss on your podcast." So
we can fuck all the fucking time we fucking want. It's okay.
So when people do that, that's what bothers me.
Sure.
If you want to have an online discussion,
right?
That's fine. But the one thing that's worse about yelling and calling somebody a name in person is yelling and calling somebody a name online. That's probably
really
worse. Yeah, I mean.
Well, I mean, but you have. I don't know. I think it's more difficult for someone to control that because you have the what is not animosity? What is it? What is the where you're
anonymity?
Anonymity. Yes.
Anonymity.
Anonymity.
I can't even say it anymore. Yeah. All right, but you have that, and so I think that gives you necessarily kind of a confidence booster. And
absolutely, which makes you more of a POS.
Yeah, you're basically just
you're basically hiding
you're
behind
a keyboard warrior.
Yeah,
I like that term, keyboard warrior. That's a good one.
You know, that's my issue. So again, streaming back to the first part, it's if people want to be extremists or if people want to express their opinion. That's fine. I don't mind that. Even if your opinion is totally 100% not what I think, and we are in two different ball games. But don't be an asshole.
Yeah,
and that's my problem.
And let me just say, like the difference between, you know, the reason defining extremism is, I think, a very key part of this, because a lot of people say somebody like Milo Yiannopoulos is an extremist. He's a Nazi. He's a whatever. Like, first of all, he was, you know, born Jewish.
Yeah.
Like, regardless, I mean, you know, you might not like what he has to say, and that's fine. And I don't care if you don't like what he has to say, and, you know, I don't care if you do like what he has to say. But like to say that he doesn't have the right to say what he has to say in a peaceful manner, like on a podium in front of people who want to hear him speak.
Oh yeah,
I feel like that's wrong. Like he should be allowed to speak. And that's not. But like even a Nazi, like an actual Nazi, like a Nazi that comes out and says he's a Nazi and hates Jews. Like should you be allowed to punch any Nazi that you see on the street? I don't think so. I mean, like as long as they're not actually doing anything, it sounds bad. And yes, I would never. Obviously, I'm Jewish and Israeli, and it means a lot to me. But
we're all Jewish here, by the way.
We're all Jewish here. Yes. But like that still doesn't mean because then where do you draw the line? Like, are you allowed to punch him, but not not like who do you draw the line with? I mean, if he's a Nazi, you punch him. If you want to punch somebody. Else you call him a Nazi, and then you have the just is it
the social justice warriors?
Well, yeah, you have social justice warriors, calling everybody they don't like Nazis, and do you get to punch them too because they're? So
I want to play devil's advocate for a second. Sure. You have these. I think when you get to that extreme, because how I see the spectrum is
how
you have,
extreme. When you get to
I think a Nazi,
like
KKK Nazi, I think that those are the extreme is what I'm talking about.
And by the way, everybody agrees that those are scum people. So like nobody will say that those are not scum people. But my only point is to say that like
and how you handle them,
they need to have they can speak. If that's all they're doing, they are allowed to speak because that's
and I agree with you. You let them speak and let others figure out how dumb they are and how invalid their arguments are.
Exactly.
But to play devil's advocate, you have such a horrible, this essentially almost evil in the idea, why even give it a chance? Because if you know all they're going to do is spout hate, and if you identify as a Nazi, I think that's all you're going to do.
But what is hate to you? Like it's the definition of all these things is very important because like if all they're doing is saying, these people suck, these people, I hate these people, everybody deserves to die, like. Yeah, I mean, those people, I think, they're going to ruin it for themselves. I mean, if that's what they're saying, like, everybody's going to be like, yeah, screw you. I mean, you're an idiot, you're an asshole.
Okay, well, then what happened in Charlottesville? A bunch of Nazis got together, or Nazis, KKK, white supremacists, they got all together and they said, hey, let's protest this statue. And so I think allowing them, and this is, again, where the devil's advocate.
Who protested the statue?
It was a bunch of white kids, white supremacists, Nazis.
They protested which statue?
The Charlottesville statue, of Robert E. Lee, Robert E. Lee.
They were not protesting Robert E. Lee. The other side was protesting.
No. They were protesting not to get the statue taken down.
Not to get the statue taken down. Yeah.
Sorry, what was I saying?
Yeah, I thought you meant like to take. No,
not to take the statue down. Sorry, clarification. But no, and so you think, and I agree with you. In a single space, sure, whatever, just spout your ideas. But then now you have this huge thing. People got hurt. People were injured, and that was all because we allowed them to protest.
I don't agree with that.
And I disagree with that. It's first of all, nobody knows what happened except for the people that were there. And you don't know how it started, right?
It started because a bunch of college kids were like, "Hey, let's protest this." They had Facebook. So let's meetings
protest this, but what happened to start that? How did these people get hurt? How do you think these people got hurt?
I was informed via videos / news articles / Philip Franco. Extremists on both sides were throwing punches.
Okay, so
the protesters and the anti-protesters.
Sure. So extremists on both sides were throwing punches. Right. Now, did these guys go? Do you know that these white supremacists and these? Again, I'm not supporting white supremacy or Nazis.
It's all good. Don't worry.
Do you know that they went in with the intention of throwing punches at people?
Probably you're right. Probably not the majority of them, but that one kid that ran over everybody with the car.
And he's a tool, idiot for sure. But like again, I think the point is even this. Like if it were me, like obviously I would not be there in the first place. But do I believe that those statues like? But because if people are protesting that the statue needs to be taken down, personally, I don't want the statue to be taken down, and I'll tell you why. The reason is only because like I don't think that we should be when they say take it down, that doesn't mean like politely move it and go put it in a museum.
Right.
Like they mean like shove it, break it, like burn it. And so like I don't think we should be doing that to any landmark we don't like. So like that's animalistic. I mean that's not. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry. I don't think we should be burning Hitler statues either. That's history. So this is all history.
So Germany covering up the Nazi party and everything.
Yeah. Put this in a museum. If you don't like it, move it to a museum. And everybody has the right. The mayor of the city technically is the person who has the right to decide hey, most of my town wants this statue, not in public. Fine. Like, that's okay. If there's a vote for it and like, that's okay. I'm totally fine with it moving, but don't burn it. Like, you don't just get to burn things you don't like. You don't just get to like destroy or like break things that you don't like. So
isn't that why we have books and history books and stuff like that to have a record of that? And so, or
again, but like, why you're basically defending the point that like it's okay to just shove and break and destroy things we don't like. So right now it's Robert E. Lee, and he apparently in the last year became one of the most evil people on the planet. And
right.
And it's like 3 years ago he wasn't that bad. Like people, plenty of Democrats and everybody walked by his statues every day. They didn't think twice about it. It was just it was part of history. Like that's what it was. And again, like why are we all becoming so innately focused on like these people in history that like.
Well, because
we're making a big deal out of
and that's totally fine. But I think it's just because people are ashamed of their past, and I'm of the mindset that I would be. I wouldn't want to live in a country that says, all right,
that has a statue of Robert E. Lee.
There are plenty of museums of statues with statues of Robert E. Lee that I can go to see recount. But if it's just in the middle of a park and
but don't you want to know like, hey, this is where? Because I've been to Charleston. I've been to Charleston, South Carolina, and that's like the birthplace of the Civil War. Or I don't want to say. I'm not 100% sure, but it's something with Civil War.
Fake news.
Related.
It's fine.
I'm pretty sure it's
fake
the birthplace
history.
of the Civil War. But regardless, like I've seen those statues, and I think it's cool to just walk by and say, hey, listen, like this is a war that happened, and it started here, and this is actually like where one of the battles took place. And like I think that's fine to have something like that up. And fine, if you don't want to be again, if you really desperately want it moved, I think we're trying too much to like.
Well, what about those people that say, "Hey, I'm proud of that statue"? Don't you think leaving that statue there is still allowing this racism to be there?
No, because you could say that about any negative thing ever. Like if one person says, "I'm proud of this," if one person says, "Yeah, I want knives to still be legal so I can shoot people, so I can stab everybody," does that mean we have to make all knives illegal? Like we don't just because one person or a few people say.
Well, but I think that's a logical fallacy there because. A knife can't necessarily be branded to a certain point in history. Sure, knives were used to fight in combat. Sure, they're dangerous weapons. But I think the statue signifies something, something greater. So racism and hate and.
But that's because you've been I don't want to say brainwashed, but everybody's been brainwashed.
No, the school system.
We've all been brainwashed.
We've
to
been through
say,
the school
like,
system.
This is evil. This is Nazi. This is racist. This is like, I think we're overusing the word. I've never heard the word racist. I'm 29 years old. I've never heard the word racist used so much since like in the first 28 years of my life. But this last year, the word racism and xenophobe and shoot, like I forgot all the other one, bigot.
Right.
Like, all of those words are now used to describe. We are not. Like America is not a racist country. We have such good, laws in place. We have such good, yes. Are there racists here? Absolutely. And there have always been, and there probably will be but we're not like, we're acting, people are acting as if America is racist, and it's not. Like we've lived side by side and, in great, I don't know how to say it, but like in alliance with each other for a very long time. And like, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, we had great, I'd say very good race relations. And now everything's just kind of, coming to a boiling point. And I don't think it should be. I think we're making making too much out of what.
No, I understand. I just think, because there's a give and take where how much you're willing to put up with. And I think, and you would agree that, police crime, like the police brutality and stuff like that, that's gotten a lot more prevalent.
It's gotten
recently.
a lot more documented.
Okay, yeah, you're right. A lot, but it's come to light because of the body cams, because of everything. A lot of these kind of issues that we had, and I say this is a generalization, in the 80s and 90s that were going unnoticed are being brought up. So wouldn't you think that's kind of leading us down a path to...
Would you say that police are racist?
No.
Would you say that any police system in the country, any city's police system is a racist police system? That meaning like that they are targeting one race, more than another one. Like they are legitimately
like institutionalized racism.
Like institutionalized racism. Like is the system itself racist, or are the people racist? Because those are two totally different things.
Sure.
And I think it's very important to differentiate them because I don't think any government system and maybe I'll catch slack for this. I don't know. Depending on how many people listen to this radio.
So good.
But all I'm saying is, like, I don't think that there's institutional racism in a lot of things in America. Like in almost all things in America. Like, I can't think of one.
It's just the working people within the institution.
The working people within the institution. The actual racists are, the people. But again, we've been talking so much about like everybody's racist. I mean, it's just become like
because
such a common word that we throw around nowadays, that everybody's now racist. If you don't agree with me on this, you're racist. If you disagree with me, you're racist.
I think that's more where the issue comes from, and that's kind of where I was talking about earlier, when it's people being rude and people being all that stuff. Like, if now it's turned into, if you don't agree with me, or if you don't side with my opinion, then you are wrong, and you're dumb, and you're a racist, and you're a bigot, and you're all of these things, which that's, I think, more of the issue. Like, if people were to be respectful of other people's opinions and do all that, then I think it would be okay. But now, if you say one thing that you disagree with somebody, oh, you're a Nazi. Oh, you're a racist. Oh, you're whatever.
Sure.
And I think that's kind of where the downfall is coming from, too.
So where do you guys think that started? Because, I mean, something that I haven't done a lot of research in. Oh, you're smiling. Go ahead.
I mean,
because again, like you said, you know, in the first 28 years in your life, you haven't heard the word racist being thrown around as much. So,
if I'm being honest, it started with Barack Obama, in my opinion, because because he's definitely put race as a major factor in America, meaning that, like, the hands up, don't shoot thing. Even though that whole thing's been kind of proven false, he was actually facing the whatever line story, like. He's talking about Trayvon Martin like that could have been my son, and blah, blah, and basically making it out to be a white versus black, thing in America where it shouldn't be. Like, if there's cops killing people, like, that's wrong on both counts. Like, if there's whether they're white or black cops killing white or black people, like, yes, of course that's terrible. Like, and if it happens more that white cops kill black people, yeah, that's terrible too. Like, for sure. I mean, there's no question about that. There are, and nobody likes to talk about this, and it's fine, but, like, there are a lot of black people killing a lot of black people, and there's white people killing a lot of white people, and again, like, these are issues, and we can discuss those issues, and that's fine. But, like, to say that because of a Trayvon Martin incident, or I'm blanking on the guy's name in Missouri, but because of some of those incidents, like cops are now demonized in the United States. Like, it's hard to be a cop now. I mean, when people have riots in the streets and burning things, and who's there to save you? Like, the cops are the ones that are there to take care of you. Who do you call when something's wrong? Like, you call the cops. Like, that's their job. They put their life on the line for you. So I think you need to be a little bit careful about how you choose to riot and protest. I mean, why are you going to block highways in Atlanta? Like, what's the purpose of, like, True. Like, there's no purpose in that stuff. Like, you want to be heard. Like, I understand that. So, like, I don't care. I mean, let's set up a meeting with council. Let's, go do what you got to do, but don't.
So I think
disruptful and rioting and
we're
breaking things.
We're kind of circling around this. So we're just going to call it out. Black Lives Matter. So do you think to move their agenda and to move what they want to, have you ever read their manifest? They've, like, got this, I forget how many bullet points, but they have, like, I think 12 to 15 bullet points of, these are our demands, these are what we want, blah, 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 blah. We're not going to stop until all of this is met. Are you familiar with that at all?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So then you both, Shelly, I know Itai has been hogging the mic. So
no.
Sorry.
No, it's totally fine. So, then we'll ask you, Shelly. So Black Lives Matter, you gotta, do you think the idea, sure, you can get behind it, but the organization, do you think they've been effectively, because, I mean, you don't see any of this kind of stuff in Texas, unfortunately. Well, I mean, fortunately / unfortunately, I don't know. I
don't
guess.
see any of what kind of stuff?
Do what?
Don't see any of what?
Like, Black Lives Matter, like... in Dallas. Right, you're right. But again, you see more in, I guess, you could say, more other southern states. You see that more often, that they're a bigger presence in there. So, because other than, again, what happened in Dallas... Sure. That was the only incident. And so Texas is ginormous. You don't see it in Austin. Well, actually, I don't know about Austin. Austin's pretty weird. But Houston, Austin, San Antonio, anywhere there, you don't see that huge presence. So I haven't had a lot of influence with them directly in my lives. But, I mean, Shelly, are you for or against the organization? You can be good for the idea, just
exactly. So I'm good for the idea. I'm not a huge proponent of, this all lives matter thing. I understand how that can be not necessarily rude, but I understand how that can be like a little bit, demeaning and belittling to what Black Lives Matter should be. I do think that there are extremists in everything, and unfortunately, the extremists in this organization, along with others, in this organization have caused a ripple, and that's what I can't stand behind.
Okay.
It's the same thing with, not to get too off topic, but it's the same thing with the word feminists. Ideally, a feminist is just somebody that believes that women should have the same rights as men, which is a totally logical thing for people to have. However, extremists have turned feminism into, we hate men, and we hate this, and we hate that, and we hate all these things. It's the same thing. I don't support that. Which, in general, some people are like, well, and they call themselves feminists, and they're like, well, we're feminists, and this is what feminists think. Well, no, not really, and they're actually making a bad name for it. Same thing with, the Black Lives Matter. They're what they stand for, I agree with.
Sure.
However, the extremists are really, really hurting their own cause.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the problem.
Almost
I'm all for if somebody has a complaint, or I guess a grievance, I guess, in society, I think we should all hear them out, especially if it's like a legit grievance. And I'm for hearing everybody out, really everybody. I mean, but I think when you start justifying, when the way you're getting attention to your cause is through certain violent acts or rioting even, or breaking things, like, I have no sympathy for that. Like, how can I have sympathy for something like that when the way you're trying to get attention is by acting like a 3-year-old? I mean, and that sounds harsh, and I know it does, but like when all I see on the news is that Antifa is breaking, there's a Milo Yiannopoulos riot in Berkeley, like they're burning stuff and they're breaking, like that's terrorism. I mean, that's preposterous. And anything Antifa does, I can't get behind. I will never get behind anything they do, because that's the kind of people that they are. So like, it makes, I can't support something like that. But if you want, if there's ever a grievance and there's a way to bring light to it, that's not, rioting, or that's not like, disrupting society, or that's not, disrespecting, people, military, whatever. Like, I think I'd be more than happy to sympathize and to listen. And I do sympathize with those that are acting like that. It's unfortunate though that it's being taken to the places that it's going.
Well, to play devil's advocate again, I'll pose this question on you. Do you think, as a group of human beings living in the country of America, do you think we've kind of built up to this point where you didn't have these insane, crazy events and blocking down highways and blah blah blah, 10 years ago, 5-10 years ago, but now it's gotten to the point where maybe people just don't feel represented, and so the only way they can do is act like a 3-year-old.
They feel represented. They felt represented 10 years ago, but they didn't feel represented now. Like, are you saying that?
Well, or maybe
did film stars? Now they're complaining about. Now people are complaining about everything. I mean, if there's not an exactly equal percentage, if like, let's say black people make up 20% of America, if they're not exactly 20% makeup in movies or something like that, like. They were talking about boycotting the Oscars and making an all-black Oscars, for example. And so things like that, I think is like kind of childish. I mean, just because like, Denzel Washington, who I love him. I mean, just because he didn't get a great actor, he wasn't nominated for an acting role, for whatever movie he did or didn't do this year. Like, that doesn't mean that we're out to get you. Like, you're not always, you don't always have to be a victim. I mean, like we love having everybody here. That's what America's all about. And so I think it's hard to, you want to be there and you want to support these people and you want to bring everybody up, but like have a little bit of what's the word, tact, or be a little humble, I guess, about how you do it, and don't just like thrash the Oscars or whoever. I mean, just not necessarily just the Oscars, but and make everybody else feel bad that like we're purposely trying to cut you out of movies, or no, like we're not. Like, I mean, at least I don't think so. I mean, that's nothing I've ever seen.
Shelly?
My issue is, when it comes to, let's say, like blocking off highways or things like that, what good is that going to do? You're just going to piss a bunch of people off, and it has nothing really to do with your cause, right? You're not So that's my issue. If you want to, do these protests or speeches or something peaceful that's directly related to your cause, I say go for it. If it's peaceful, things like that. Blocking off a highway is not really going to make me think about Black Lives Matter. It's going to make me think that I'm on my way to work and you really need to get out of my way.
Okay.
So, that's kind of my issue when it comes to that is, they think that that's the only way that they're going to get people's attention, but they're not getting people's attention for their cause. They're getting people's attention because they're just pissing people off.
Well,
so,
I mean, okay, so let's, a congressman is 2 years and then he has to go and get reelected, and any type of issues that he's trying to tackle, it can't be too controversial because then he's not going to get reelected. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah.
So if you are a constituent of a certain congressman, how likely, especially now and with everything going on, how likely is it if you write to him saying, hey, I feel, I'm feeling oppressed, I'm feeling unfair treatment, blah 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 blah, do something about it? How likely is he going to do something about it?
Then we need to change. If you want to change something, then we can change something like that. But I don't think we can.
But that's the thing. So I don't think, because government it's always been and has been, at least to my understanding, government has and it will always be just a rock that kind of shifts to the left, shifts to the right, just back and forth, back and forth. We're never going to see a huge monumental leap from one step to the next. And sure, you look 20 years ago and we've been shifting, and now we're further from here. But in terms of that immediate change, and I think that's why you have such a drastic response of blocking highways and stuff like that, where they want the change now. So, and that's why I can kind of relate to it, and I can kind of get behind it. Sure, if you're blocking a highway, I'm going to say, hey, you're an asshole. But then, I take a second to think about it. Okay, well, what's behind it? So, I don't know. I mean, and I don't even know that we can restructure government. I don't know if that's even possible. I mean,
people are restructuring, trying to come up with new things all the time. I mean, we're restructuring healthcare, we're restructuring everything. So
okay. So are you for the Donald wanting to remove and repeal, replace all that kind of stuff? Is that?
I mean, for Obamacare,
like
remove or replace Obamacare.
Repeal,
I think we need to have something.
You don't want them to amend and change and grow from there, or you want to ground up repeal and replace?
I don't know. It's not something that's not a topic that I focus on a lot of topics. Like that's not a topic I'm big on. All I know is what I can tell you is that healthcare for at least me and my family has over doubled.
Oh wow, okay.
Like per month, over doubled per month. And it's a ton. It's a lot. It's a ton. And I think that there's one main really good part about Obamacare, and that was the preconditions thing. And I think everybody agrees on that. And I think that that's a very fair thing. But already there's a lot of insurance companies that are dropping Obamacare.
Really?
Aetna's one of them. They're no longer, as of 2017, they're no longer doing Obamacare.
Oh,
I think
okay.
UHC, United Healthcare, is another one that's dropping.
Wow. Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, because they can't afford it. They can't afford it anymore. Too many people are on it. It's almost become like a Medicaid type thing. It's like here's this free healthcare for people, and they can't afford to just pay, for everybody that way. And so, anyway, regardless, I mean, I don't have a good answer for that. Nobody does. Obviously, Congress is still plowing through it. So I think the difference is, what I will say is, we've been, before, we didn't just leave somebody, if somebody was going to die on the streets, we didn't it's not like we let anybody die in a hospital. Hospitals take care of people, whether they can pay or whether they can't. So it's not like if we were to repeal, Obamacare, then we would end up dying. Like people would end up just dying on the streets. Right. It didn't happen before. It's
right.
Easy,
it's not like we're
going
to have a complete and total meltdown or anything.
No, there's not going to be a meltdown because we survived without Obamacare for hundreds of years, for a very long time. So, to say that the drastic, how drastic it would be, if we did, like Jimmy Kimmel, I know he spoke about it with his son and blah, blah, blah. Like the hospital would have taken care of his son regardless of if he had,
That's
I mean, he could buy that hospital, tomorrow,
Sure.
yesterday. But again, I mean, I think people are making it a bigger deal than it is, just because some people are making it a bigger deal than it is. Some people get really screwed by Obamacare, and some people are very much benefited by Obamacare. And we get that. There's going to be winners and losers on both sides. But to say that like everybody is going to, it's just going to be terrible if we drop Obamacare, like it's not true. I mean, there's a lot of people who are going to be, everybody's going to be fine. Most people, people are going to see a drop in their rates. Yeah, and their premiums, and some people might lose coverage for sure. Yeah, sure. I mean that's what happens.
Well, so let me drop you an example that I was someone, I forget who said. Oh, you need to. You don't have to whisper it to me. It's okay. If you hate being on the podcast,
no. We like
we're about being on an hour.
We have an escape room.
Okay, what time is that going to be at?
Like 8.
8.
It's
okay,
it's in Irving.
Okay, well that's fine. No, we can wrap it up. So then we'll do this response and then a quick topic real quick. So, so the idea is the difference between having health insurance versus car insurance. Okay, so we're paying premiums all the time for health insurance so that one day, like, multiple days out of the month, we can go to a hospital or we can go to a clinic or whatever and get the care that we need. Right. Okay. Whereas we should be treating it more like car insurance, where, you're not, when you go to the dealership, are you using your car insurance to go to the dealership? No, you're paying out of pocket. So the fact that we have so many people now insured, which again is great. And again, the kind of leading why people are dropping Obamacare because they can't afford it is because now more people are making claims on that insurance. And so to lead into that, do you guys agree that if we could restructure it, obviously through thorough debates, both left and right, but if we can restructure it to a point where generally it would be cheaper, you'd still be paying out of pocket whenever you go visit, but when you have like a detriment, like you break your leg or you have the influenza or whatever, I don't know, some crazy disease, you can go to a hospital and not have to worry about, oh my gosh, I'm now going to have to pay $5,000 out of pocket or something because my insurance hoed me over. Whereas, because the same thing.
Yeah, listen, like anything reasonable obviously sounds good. It's just, does the money add up? And I'll just add in one more thing that, like, a lot of people who are very much pro keeping Obamacare and doing everything exactly like Obama said and Obama wanted, like, whatever. They're, the Republican lawmakers are not out to get poor people. They're not out to, they're not looking to like kill everybody, who can't afford.
I hope they're not out to kill everybody.
I'm saying like they're treating it as if, these people just want all poor people to die or,
sure.
And it's obviously not, it's obviously not true. There's a lot of Republican, lawmakers from southern states with a lot of, poor people like Mississippi and all those, a lot of Alabama, those all vote Republican and they're all, they're not the wealthiest.
Sure.
So like, obviously they have incentive to do what's good, obviously for the whole country. And so to say that like, just because a Republican lawmaker does something, it's because he doesn't care about, no, I mean, it's not true. Like I think everybody is looking, both Republican and Democrat in Congress, I really do believe, are trying to find something that works. And if it doesn't work for most people, they won't vote it through. And that's why it hasn't been voted through the last, 2 or 3 times.
Sure.
And yeah. So.
Okay. And just real quick, just to wrap it up on this last one. So I tried bringing it up a while ago, but the friends that I had, they're not super active on social media, and I know you guys are a little more active than I guess, not to an abnormal extent. But do any of you guys follow Donald Trump on Twitter? Do you?
No, I follow Ivanka Trump was
really.
Yeah, well, I don't follow her.
No, sure.
Like, I mean, she I don't
pay attention to what she says though.
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay.
Like, well, she has pictures with her son.
Sure. So, I mean, what do you guys think about this guy spewing out everything he has on the internet for the Twitter universe?
Well,
it's different.
You mind if I take the first one, and then I'll let you do it. But yeah, basically with him, I think that it's a good idea. It's a terrible idea for some parts, but I think that the idea behind it is good, and what I mean by that is like, we know CNN doesn't like him. Like, to anybody who says that there's no bias against him, from like CNN or I think they did a study that said like 96% of everything CNN writes is anti-Trump.
Is it really?
Yeah,
wow.
And like 4% of it was like not. It's not even pro-Trump. It's like not bashing Trump.
Oh, okay.
And so like
just genuine reporting.
Just genuine like yeah. There was one article I remember where he bent over to pick up a hat of a military general.
Oh yeah.
Blew over or something. So CNN reported that, and I was like, wow, they didn't just skewer him in that article. That's, I guess, nice.
Sure.
Anyway, but I like the fact that he's coming straight to the American people without the filter of CNN. Because every time I look up, articles or, I'm looking up the news, and every other article is like, making fun of Donald Trump for something, or he said something wrong, or he did something. And it's basically just looking at, I find it as a way of like a gotcha Trump, like, you moron. Like,
right.
We're going to
we're
gonna skewer
point out
you
all your flaws.
Yeah, point out all your flaws. So I like the fact, the idea of it's good. Do I think that he goes overboard with the stuff? Absolutely. I mean, he definitely needs to tone it back, in my opinion. He's not very eloquent.
Sure.
Everybody would agree on that. He's, he sometimes comes off as a doofus, but like I do believe that he has. Would
you have ever said that about Bill Clinton or Obama? He comes off as a doofus.
No, Obama's one of the most Obama's my least favorite president, and I'll be honest about that, mostly just because of foreign relations with my home country. But
and that's a different discussion.
But to say that Obama was not one of the most eloquent speakers would be a total lie. Like he's one of the best speakers I've ever heard. And you want to believe everything he says, but I feel like it's
yeah, no, that makes sense. So Shelly, your opinion on old Trumpo being on Twitter?
I want to kind of bring it to like before he was elected.
True.
When he was on Twitter and doing all this stuff, and people were like, there is no way that this guy is going to become president. There's no way. He says this and he says that and he says this and he says that. I think that he tried to use it as a marketing tool. I mean, this was free campaigning for him.
True.
He didn't pay for anything, and somehow it worked. And I'm not going to, say that it was all because of the things that he said on Twitter or all because of the things that he said on social media, but he used this platform that hasn't really been used that much before by previous candidates and previous presidents, and
sure.
It ended up working out in his favor.
Right.
There's a lot of negative that came with it. I'll agree with Itai. Like, the things that he says do go overboard. And that's okay. But the fact that he almost, I don't know if it's like one of the most brilliant things, but he got to use his campaign money for other things and not just to campaign. So
that's true.
I think it ended up working out in his favor in that part.
All right.
Yeah, he might be a little bit smart. He comes off as a total dweeb, but he might be a little bit smarter than we give him credit for, just based on how...
You're talking about him like he's your little brother or something.
Well, I mean...
He's a doofus. He's a dweeb. Well, giving him a noogie.
Yeah, he doesn't come off as a bright guy, but I think, the way he stirs the pot with certain things, I think we might not be giving him enough credit for how the results that he gets.
All right. Okay, so what I like to do, closing off, is just a lightning round. I'm going to ask a question, give a response, no reason, no anything, you just give your response, that's it. So we're going to do 3 questions.
Is this yes, no, or
yes, no, answer something. So the first one, and then we'll have both of you guys respond. So, Itai, if you could marry a fictional character, who would it be?
Belle.
Shelly?
Oh, I don't know, this is hard. Marry a fictional character.
Who would it be?
Shrek. Just kidding.
I'm trying to think of like Disney princesses now, and I like the princess, and I can't think of anybody.
Prince Charming?
Well,
Aladdin.
There you go. That's good. I would the Pink Ranger. That's for sure.
All right.
Itai, is it better to beg for forgiveness or ask permission?
I don't see a problem with asking for permission, so I think
beg for forgiveness.
I would do ask permission. And to wrap it all up, describe yourself in 3 words.
Oh man, I don't like this. Shelly,
that's more than 3 words, sir.
All right.
Shelly?
Funny and short.
That's 3 words.
All right, we all lost.
That's 3 words. That's mine. All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening to the One More Podcast. I really appreciate. This was a new setting. I was invited into the home, or actually, I kind of forced myself onto the home because where I live is cramped and small.
Gladly invited.
But yeah, thanks so much for listening. Really appreciate it. Everyone have a good night, morning, or if you're taking a shit, I hope you're enjoying the podcast so far. So peace out, everyone. Love you guys.
Bye.
See ya.
Hey everybody, that's the end of the show. Really hope that you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. If you didn't, that's okay. Try again next episode. I mean, you can probably learn something. Law of averages, something like that, right? Anyways, this episode has been sponsored by Haven Cottage Investments. Really appreciate everything that they're doing. If you want to buy a home, sell a home, rent a home, lease a home, whatever it is, I don't know what you want to do, definitely get in contact with Sabrina Parker. She knows what she is doing, all right? She's like some kind of financial investment genius, okay? All of her contact information, you got her email, her phone number, anything at all to get in contact with her down below. Haven Cottage Investments is awesome, okay? Definitely going to need to take advantage of that, because if you don't, well, that just kind of sucks for you. But if you mention the podcast, just mention the One More Podcast when you're contacting her, either via phone or email, you'll get half off the commission rate. That's good. That's more money in your pocket. So yeah, give her a call, give her a shout, anything you can. It's definitely worth a try. It's definitely worth a call at least. Figure out if it's even right for you. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed again the podcast. And again, Haven Cottage Investments. It's what they do that helps me do what I do. So again, if you want to show some love and support, definitely check them out, give them a call, everything like that. I don't know how many times I can say it, don't know how many times I've said it, but I'll keep saying it because that's what I'm here for. All right, guys, have a great night, day, whenever you're listening to this podcast. I don't know. All right, peace.